Hello, Danse. This is Kendal Netmaker. I'm excited to be with you today. On today's episode, we're going to focus on the power of your mind and the mindset that we all decide to use to help us in a good way. All of us go through challenges, we go through obstacles, we go through problems, we go through things that sometimes our friends don't even know that we go through or have gone through in the past. All of us go through times of opportunities. All of us go through times of stress, through hardship and so on. And so today I thought it would be a good time to speak to this and how we can utilize the power of our mind to think more about what it is that we want to experience with our life, our families, our careers, our businesses, and so on. So I want to start off by acknowledging that all of us go through stuff. All of us have our challenges. All of us have our wins and so on. And during my studies of analyzing different leaders, different entrepreneurs, business people, and what they do to compare to uh, much of the population is it starts up here. How we use our mind, how we think, and how we see the world. Oftentimes, we get conditioned from our immediate surroundings as children, and sometimes we see things, we hear things that in the future don't help us a lot, and it manifests into habits. It manifests into how we carry ourselves and so on. For example, if someone had a guardian, a parent that was very negative or very mean, the offspring, the child, is more likely to give live through those same habits in some form. And so sometimes when we become adults, we have to kind of check ourselves to see, are some of the things that I'm doing serving me right now? Are they helping me? Are they helping me to live a good life and so on? And sometimes some people are so busy doing so much, they have so much on their plate. They're a parent, they have children, they're working full time, they're going to school, maybe they have a big team that they're overseeing at their workplace and so on. Maybe they're growing a company and they're doing so much, just like myself way back in the day when I was a hamster in a wheel going as fast as I could. And eventually you hit a wall. You hit this wall and it humbles you because we're all human. We all have our limits. And so as individuals, we have to understand who we are. We have to understand our gifts and we have to grow upon those and we have to work on ourselves. And sometimes we get life to be we get so used to life being so busy that we forget to take care of ourselves. We forget to check how our mental wellness is doing. Are we okay? So I want to start off by focusing on this area of the mind clutter. Many of us have this. We have so much going on that we have all this stuff in our mind that is keeping us busy, keeping us stressed, keeping us in a state of shock sometimes. In order for us to remove the mind clutter, the stuff that worries us, the stuff that stresses us out, we have to get used to also being alone, being quiet. Some call that meditation. Some call that just sitting in a room by yourself so you can think because life gets so busy. Sometimes we have a hard time doing that. Being quiet, listening to ourselves, deep in meditation, deep in prayer, however it is that you do that for yourself. But I encourage you, you got to make time for that because we get so used to this busy, fast paced life. It's easy to accumulate a lot of nonsense up here, a lot of things that may keep us in a state of worry, keep us in a state of shock, and so on. A lot of it is nonsense. It comes back to understanding ourselves as human beings, understanding who you are. And we can't get there if we don't take time to reflect, take daily reminders to really reflect on, how am I doing? Am I okay? The second part of this is the thing that can really help all of us is we have to watch who we listen to. You know, after a certain age, you become an adult. And when you step into the world by yourself, you're now responsible for your mindset and how you live your life through your habits and so on. Sometimes, for some individuals, they may have a disadvantage growing up where they maybe don't have the most positive circle of friends, of family members, of maybe a community and so on. And so that could manifest into negative habits for that individual. Vice versa is also true for individuals who grow up in a very loving, healthy family community. They're more likely to display those type of traits. And so when you hit that age of understanding who you are, the things that you're going through, the things that you've gone through, there's going to be some times when you're going to have to reflect and be like, maybe this isn't serving me right now. Maybe this isn't going to help me to get to where I want to get to in the future. So important that we surround ourselves with people who are positive, people who are happy, people who are, I say, goal driven, people who are working towards something. And if you can't find that, sometimes you have to step into that own role yourself and be your own leader, be your own individual who lives through that example. I could speak through that myself. I had a hard time finding that for a long time growing up. I couldn't find people who thought like me. I used to think I was a little crazy. I was different growing up because no one thought the way that I used to think back then, at least not in my circle. As time progresses and you're working towards something, what often happens is people will see something within yourself. They will see your gift. They will see your greatness, as some people call it, and they may encourage you. They may give you positive words of encouragement. And as you're getting those sprinkles of confidence boosters of someone acknowledging your gifts and so on, what they're showing you is you have something here. Grow upon this thing. Work at this thing. I was also told growing up that when you're working on your gifts, your talents, and so on, to do the best you can to try to live a healthy lifestyle. So that also means, trying to separate yourself as much as possible from negative scenarios that involve drugs, alcohol, negative lifestyle, and so on. So you can keep your mind healthy. Anytime you bring that negative, it's like a cloud that forms in your mind. It's hard to see what you want. And some people get stuck in that cloud. They go in a circle while the rest of their friends are rising up and going accomplishing things. So it's a decision that we have to make. We have to watch who we listen to, who we associate with, because that will have a big impact on who we become. The habits of other people we pick up unconsciously just by association with them. So you have to watch who you're hanging out with. You have to watch, are they healthy? Are they gossiping? Are they talking people up or are they trying to talk people down? That is things you have to be aware of. You want to be around people who are bringing goodness, bringing light to the world, trying to lift each other up rather than trying to bring each other down. There's a lot of decisions that we have to make, but we can make it easier on ourselves if we take the time to be quiet at certain times throughout the day, to listen to ourselves, to reflect, to journal, to talk about it with other people that you're close with. Another thing I want to touch on is oftentimes we're we're going through a mental health crisis right now. In It's a world thing. It's happening all around the world. But I see this oftentimes happening a lot in impoverished communities, whether it's in the cities, the towns, but also in First Nations communities. And my I have a few tips for anyone who's watching or listening to this in the recording. It's really important that we make it normal to ask for help. It's very important we normalize asking for help, normalize expressing our feelings, normalize talking to people, whether that's therapists, counselors, and so on. I think everyone should make that a priority because we have devices and they're taking over our lives and we're not speaking enough. We're not using our voice to remove whatever is in our on our shoulders, the stuff that we're carrying. We have to release that. Otherwise, it becomes a burden, becomes tough to walk after a while, and sometimes it can lead to a health problem if it's not checked. So we have to take time to be able to ask for help. None of us are self-made. We all brought up through people around us, people who have helped us to walk into this world, people that support us, people who come and support our businesses, people who help us as teachers, as mentors, as leaders, and so on. And so when we ask for help, we're showing that we're willing to learn, we're willing to be vulnerable. It's also important that we have something to look forward to. Oftentimes there's there's habits that get developed through some people where they just do the same thing every day, but they don't really have anything to look forward to. And so their life becomes so much on autopilot, they don't create simple goals of even simple things like, you know what, this weekend I want to go watch this movie. I want to go and do this thing because I worked hard all week. Simple goals like that. Some people don't even have those. And so when something bad happens, if they haven't been helping themselves, it's easier to get in a very negative mental state and to stay there for a long time. When people have something to look forward to, it's easier for that person to look forward to the next day, to have something to work towards the next day, the next week, and so on. So it's important that we make that a priority to ask for help, to have something to look forward to. And if you're having a hard time or you're in a slump, I also tell people try to go do something nice for someone else. I'm not saying go and give money to someone, trying to give something to someone, but actually give your time to help someone who may be a family member, could be your grandparent, your mom, your dad, your sibling, whoever, distant relative, friends, a teacher, whatever. If you give your time to go and help someone, you're going to feel good about yourself. So our goal is we want to lift ourselves up, help ourselves up, be aware that there's help out there to help us to move forward in a good way. And when you're focused up here on working on your mindset and who you're listening to, one thing that people will start to notice is that you're going to be more happier. You won't even realize that. People will see that within yourself. When you're looking after yourself, when you're taking care of your mental wellness, people will notice that. It's the same thing when you walk into a room and you want to walk out because maybe it's not exactly the most healthy scenario. And so you may want to leave because you don't feel safe, you don't feel like it's a healthy place. Same thing is true when someone walks in the room and they light it up. They're so happy, they have that energy about them. Same thing is true there. So there's a choice that we can make. There's a choice, but it starts up here in how we think. Everything we do with our physical outcomes starts up here. The number one most underinvested asset that we have is what goes on up here, what goes into our mind, what we listen to, what we see, what we experience every day. A lot of things that happen in our life we can change by what we program up here. If we didn't like it growing up, we can change it right now. But it's a decision, unfortunately, not as many people are making right now. They choose to be a victim of their surroundings and stay there. Or you could use some of that, use some of the pain you've gone through, the obstacles, and use it and fuel it towards a goal. I encourage those who are watching or listening to choose that area. Some of the people that I've had a chance to work with, to speak with, to listen to, have had to overcome a lot of stuff. And they've used a lot of their obstacles, their trauma to go and achieve big things. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to come on today to share with you. All of us have a mind. All of us have this up here. I'm pointing to our mind. And when we take the time to check on it, to be quiet, to listen to ourselves, to ask if we're okay, ask where we're trying to go next, to encourage our friend circle, the people that we associate, to be more positive, to make decisions to hang out with people who are more positive, who are more goal driven, who are more aware of themselves, but also trying to encourage each other to move forward in a good way. I also encourage people to try to stay away from negativity and gossip. Those are very toxic areas that do nothing good for anyone else. Focus on people who are talking about possibilities, about things that are actually going to bring solutions to the world, but also people who are acting on those, what they're speaking to. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time. I hope you're all doing great. It's been a lot of fun getting back here in the studio and getting a chance to share some of these messages that I've been wanting to share for a while. And I hope that if it's been helpful, you can share this with your friends, your family, your colleagues, and so on. And anytime, reach out to me. I'm online all over the place: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, all that type of stuff. But in the meantime, I encourage you to keep moving forward in a good way. Have an amazing day, and we will see you on the next episode.
If you found this episode helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. To book Kendal to speak at a future event, please go to kendalnetmaker.com. Consider sharing the Kendal Netmaker Show with someone you feel needs to hear this message.